This slide introduces the concept of a project management resource. In project management, resources are essential assets that help achieve project objectives efficiently. These can include human resources like team members, financial resources such as budgets, and physical resources like tools and equipment. Understanding and managing these resources effectively ensures that projects stay on schedule, within scope, and on budget. Proper allocation and monitoring also help in minimizing risks and optimizing productivity throughout the project life cycle. Resource management is the process of effectively planning, allocating, and utilizing all resources required for a project. When we say resources, we don't just mean people. It also includes materials, equipment, and supplies needed to complete the work. Managing resources well ensures that both human and physical resources are used efficiently, helping the project stay on track and within budget. Project managers play a key role in managing resources effectively. They start by identifying the human and physical resources needed for the project. Next, they negotiate with resource managers to ensure the best resources are available and coordinate with the procurement department if additional materials or equipment are required. It's also crucial to confirm the availability of all assigned resources and to organize a project team directory, which helps keep everyone and everything well tracked throughout the project. Project managers are responsible for clearly defining roles and responsibilities within the project. This includes creating job descriptions for team members and other stakeholders, ensuring that each role is properly assigned, and understanding the training needs of the team. By identifying and providing necessary training, project managers make sure that team members are fully equipped to perform their tasks efficiently, which contributes to the overall success of the project. Project managers are responsible for creating a formal resource management plan. This plan outlines how the team will be involved in the project, what roles they will perform, and ensures that resources are organized efficiently. Additionally, project managers recognize exceptional performance by sending letters of commendation to team members and their managers, which motivates the team and encourages high-quality work throughout the project. Project managers must ensure that the needs of all team members are acknowledged and considered. They should create recognition and reward systems to motivate the team and use emotional intelligence to manage relationships effectively. In a change-driven environment, it's important to encourage self-organizing teams while providing support whenever needed, ensuring the team remains engaged, adaptive, and productive throughout the project. Project managers need to plan for and manage communication challenges, especially when working with virtual teams. They should tailor the resource management plan to fit the specific needs of the project and actively encourage collaboration among team members. Additionally, project managers must determine the physical resources required for the project and the timeline for when these resources will be needed, ensuring the project runs smoothly and efficiently. Project managers must plan ahead to ensure that physical resources are available and accessible when needed. They should focus on using resources efficiently and continuously look for ways to improve resource utilization. Additionally, it's important to evaluate and select the most appropriate methods for managing physical resources, ensuring that materials and equipment are used effectively throughout the project life cycle. Plan resource management is the process of defining how to estimate, acquire, manage, and use both team and physical resources throughout the project life cycle. This process ensures that all necessary resources are identified in advance, properly planned for, and utilized efficiently to avoid delays or shortages. By establishing a clear approach to resource management, project managers can allocate the right resources to the right tasks, monitor their usage, and make adjustments as needed. Plan resource management is part of the planning process group, which means it is performed early in the project to create a structured framework for resource organization before execution begins. Plan resource management involves using tools and techniques to clearly define and communicate the roles and responsibilities of everyone involved in the project. A comprehensive resource management plan documents all project responsibilities and assignments, ensuring that every team member and stakeholder knows their specific duties. Various methods can be used to create this documentation and share it effectively, such as organizational charts, RACI matrices, or role descriptions. These tools help improve clarity, avoid confusion, and make sure resources are efficiently utilized throughout the project. In plan resource management, several key tools and techniques are used to organize, document, and communicate project responsibilities effectively. The Responsibility Assignment Matrix RAM links tasks to the team members responsible for completing them, helping to avoid confusion about ownership. The Organizational Breakdown Structure OBS shows the hierarchy, reporting lines, and relationships within the team, providing a clear picture of authority and communication channels. The Resource Breakdown Structure RBS categorizes all human and physical resources needed for the project, allowing managers to plan and allocate resources efficiently. Finally, the RACI chart identifies who is responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed for each task, ensuring accountability, proper communication, and smooth coordination throughout the project. Using these tools together helps project managers maintain clarity, avoid overlap, and optimize the use of resources for successful project execution. The Responsibility Assignment Matrix RAM is a key tool in plan resource management used to clearly define project responsibilities among the project team. It links each project task or activity to the individuals or roles responsible for completing it, helping to avoid confusion and ensure accountability. One popular form of RAM is the RACI chart, which further clarifies responsibilities by categorizing them into 4 types: responsible, the person who performs the work; accountable, the person who ensures the task is completed correctly; consulted, those whose input is required; and informed, those who need to be kept updated on progress. Using RAM and RACI charts allows project managers to establish clear ownership for each task, streamline communication, and maintain alignment across the team and stakeholders. In plan resource management, RACI charts play a vital role in clarifying responsibilities for every project deliverable. Each deliverable is analyzed to identify who is responsible for doing the work, who is accountable for ensuring it is completed correctly, who needs to be consulted for input or guidance, and who must be informed about progress. One important rule in RACI charts is that there can only be one accountable per task or deliverable. This ensures clear ownership and prevents confusion over who has the final authority, making communication and decision-making more efficient across the project team. The Organizational Breakdown Structure OBS is a key tool in plan resource management that helps assign project responsibilities to various divisions or departments within the organization, such as marketing, product development, or IT. It provides a clear view of which parts of the organization are responsible for specific tasks or deliverables. In a matrix organization, the project manager must coordinate closely with the managers of each department involved. This coordination ensures that both human and physical resources are available when needed and that scheduling conflicts are minimized, helping the project run smoothly and efficiently. This slide shows the resource breakdown structure, which is similar to the work breakdown structure but focuses on resources instead of tasks. At the top is the project, divided into 3 main categories: people, materials, and equipment. Under people, we have roles like lead project manager, business analyst, architect, developers, and testers. Materials and equipment are also listed with placeholders for other needs. The purpose of this structure is to clearly identify all types of resources required, making planning, allocation, and cost estimation more systematic. For example, in an IT project, we don't just list tasks but also ensure the right people, tools, and materials are in place. The main output of planning resource management is the Resource Management Plan. This plan serves as a guideline for how resources will be identified, allocated, and managed throughout the project. One of its key components is the identification of human resource requirements. This means clearly defining who will be needed, at what time, how many people are required, what specific skills they must have, what level of expertise is expected, and for how long their contribution will be required. By identifying these factors early, the project manager ensures that the right people are available at the right time to complete project activities successfully. The Resource Management Plan is the key output of resource planning, and it defines how resources will be organized, managed, and released. It starts with roles and responsibilities, where the specific duties of each team member are clearly defined so everyone knows their contribution. Then we prepare project organizational charts, which show the reporting structure and hierarchy in the team. Next is the process for acquiring human resources, which explains how people will be recruited, assigned, or onboarded into the project. After that, we focus on training, team development, and recognition to ensure that the team has the right skills and stays motivated. The plan also defines project team management, covering how performance will be monitored, conflicts will be handled, and productivity will be ensured. Compliance and safety are also important. This includes making sure all work follows organizational policies, legal regulations, and safety standards. Finally, the plan explains the release of human resources, which means when and how team members will be rolled off from the project once their tasks are completed. This ensures smooth transition and efficient use of resources. This slide explains the planning and management of physical resources in a project. The first step is identifying the physical resource requirements. This includes clarifying what resources are needed, when they are required, how many units are required, what type they should be, their quality or grade, and for how long they will be needed. Once these requirements are clear, the next step is the process for acquiring physical resources, which means how the project will obtain or arrange these resources, whether through procurement, rental, or internal allocation. The plan also covers inventory management, ensuring that the resources are tracked, stored, and utilized effectively without wastage or shortage. Finally, it defines the release of resources, which means returning, offboarding, or reallocating physical resources once they are no longer required for the project. This structured approach ensures resources are always available when needed, used efficiently during the project, and released in a planned way to optimize costs. This slide talks about the different types of project teams, and one common form is the dedicated team. In a dedicated team setup, most of the team members work full-time and exclusively on the project. This means they are not splitting their time between multiple projects or departments, which allows them to stay fully focused on project goals and timelines. Dedicated teams are most commonly seen in projectized organizations where the project structure itself is the main form of operation. However, they can also exist in matrix organizations where resources may otherwise be shared across projects. The biggest advantage of dedicated teams is that they provide clarity, speed, and efficiency. Since the team is fully committed, communication flows faster, decision-making is easier, and productivity is higher. This structure is especially useful for large or high-priority projects that require undivided attention from team members. Another type of project team structure is the part-time team. In this setup, team members and sometimes even the project manager spend only a portion of their time on the project. Along with project work, they continue to perform their usual responsibilities or may also be engaged in other projects. This type of team is most often seen in functional organizations and matrix organizations where resources are shared across different functions or multiple projects. The main advantage of part-time teams is flexibility, as employees can contribute to multiple areas. However, a major challenge is divided attention, which may slow down progress, create scheduling conflicts, or lead to lower priority for the project. Therefore, strong coordination and clear communication become critical when working with part-time teams. The next type of team structure is the partnership team. This type of team is formed when multiple organizations come together to work on a project. The team is usually made up of members from each of the participating organizations, while the project manager often comes from the lead organization managing the project. Partnership teams can provide significant benefits such as cost savings, resource sharing, and access to specialized expertise. By pooling resources, organizations can accomplish more than they might be able to do individually. However, these teams are often challenging to manage because they involve people from different organizations, each with its own culture, processes, and priorities. Therefore, managing communication, aligning objectives, and building trust become critical for the success of partnership teams. Another type of team is the virtual team. These teams are formed when multiple organizations, offices, or individuals are working on the same project but are separated by geographic distance. In such cases, physical proximity is not possible, and technology plays a key role in connecting team members through tools like video conferencing, collaboration platforms, and shared digital workspaces. Virtual teams are very common in today's global work environment, but they do come with challenges. Agile organizations, for example, usually prefer to avoid virtual teams whenever possible because face-to-face communication is always considered more effective for collaboration, problem-solving, and building trust. While technology enables virtual work, it cannot fully replace the benefits of direct human interaction. Therefore, project managers need to put extra focus on communication, coordination, and relationship building to ensure virtual teams work effectively. McClelland's theory of needs explains that people are primarily motivated by one of three key needs: achievement, affiliation, or power. According to this theory, every individual has all three needs to some extent, but usually one of them is dominant and drives their behavior at work. Those motivated by achievement are driven by a desire to accomplish goals, perform at high standards, and take responsibility for results. People with a high need for affiliation value relationships, teamwork, and being liked and accepted by others. On the other hand, individuals with a strong need for power are motivated by influence, control, and the ability to impact others. The key point of this theory is that people falling into different categories must be managed differently. For example, achievement-oriented individuals should be given challenging tasks, affiliation-oriented employees should be encouraged in team-based work, and power-driven people should be placed in leadership or decision-making roles. By aligning tasks and responsibilities with these needs, managers can keep teams motivated and productive. This slide explains how each of McClelland's three needs translates into different behaviors and management styles. People with a high need for achievement perform best when given projects that are challenging but still achievable. They are motivated by success and thrive on recognition for their accomplishments. Managers should assign them clear, measurable goals and provide regular feedback to keep them engaged. Individuals with a strong need for affiliation work best in cooperative settings. They value harmony, teamwork, and close relationships, and they often seek approval and acceptance from others rather than recognition. These people are well suited for roles that involve collaboration, customer relations, or team-based activities. Finally, those with a dominant need for power are motivated by influence and control. When this need is socially oriented, such individuals make effective leaders. They like to organize, manage, and influence others, and they perform well in leadership or decision-making positions. Managers should channel their drive toward positive leadership and guiding the team. Herzberg's two-factor theory explains that motivation at work is influenced by two sets of factors: hygiene factors and motivators. Hygiene factors include things like salary, job security, company policies, working conditions, and relationships with peers. These factors do not directly motivate employees, but if they are missing or poorly managed, they can cause dissatisfaction. For example, unfair salary or poor working conditions can make employees unhappy and unmotivated. However, improving hygiene factors alone will not increase motivation, it will only prevent dissatisfaction. True motivation comes from motivators such as recognition, growth opportunities, challenging work, and achievement. Therefore, managers must ensure that hygiene factors are maintained at an acceptable level while also focusing on motivators to truly engage and inspire employees. Herzberg's two-factor theory highlights that while hygiene factors prevent dissatisfaction, true motivation comes from motivating agents. These are factors directly related to the work itself, such as recognition, achievement, growth opportunities, responsibility, and the chance to do meaningful work. Unlike hygiene factors, these motivators actually energize employees, making them more engaged and committed. For example, when employees are given challenging tasks, recognized for their contributions, and offered opportunities to develop their skills, they feel a sense of accomplishment and purpose. This not only motivates them to perform better but also builds long-term satisfaction. Therefore, managers should not just focus on fixing hygiene issues but also create an environment that provides motivation through meaningful work and growth opportunities. Herzberg identified responsibility, professional growth, self-actualization, and recognition as some of the most powerful motivating factors. These elements go beyond simply avoiding dissatisfaction. They directly inspire people to perform better and feel more fulfilled in their roles. When employees are given responsibility, they feel trusted and valued. Opportunities for professional growth and development encourage them to learn and progress in their careers. Self-actualization refers to reaching one's potential, which comes when individuals are challenged and given meaningful work. Recognition, whether formal or informal, reinforces their contributions and motivates them to continue excelling. Together, these motivators help create a highly engaged and satisfied workforce. Team building is an essential part of project management because it transforms a group of individuals into a cohesive and collaborative team. A strong project team doesn't just happen naturally, it needs structured team-building activities that build trust, improve communication, and create alignment toward project goals. Effective team building ensures that members support one another, resolve conflicts constructively, and focus on the best interests of the project rather than individual priorities. Some key points to remember are that team building enhances cooperation, strengthens problem-solving, improves motivation, and ultimately boosts project performance. It is not just a one-time activity but an ongoing effort throughout the project life cycle. By fostering team spirit and collaboration, managers can ensure higher productivity, greater innovation, and a more positive working environment. Team building is not just about occasional activities, it is a continuous process throughout the life of the project. The project manager plays a central role in guiding, managing, and improving the interactions among team members. It is their responsibility to build trust and cohesiveness within the team so that members collaborate effectively rather than working in silos. Incorporating team-building activities into project activities is an important part of this process. These activities may include workshops, brainstorming sessions, problem-solving exercises, or even informal interactions that strengthen bonds. The key is consistency. Team building requires deliberate effort and constant attention. When the project manager invests in these efforts, the team becomes more engaged, motivated, and aligned with the project's goals, which ultimately leads to better performance. Work breakdown structure, or WBS creation, is actually a very effective team-building activity. When team members are actively involved in breaking down the project into smaller tasks, they gain a sense of ownership and responsibility. This engagement not only improves the accuracy of planning, but also helps the team feel more connected to the project's goals. Since everyone contributes to defining the scope and deliverables, they become more invested in achieving success. It's also important to note that team building should begin as early as possible in the project's life cycle. Starting early helps establish trust, communication, and collaboration right from the beginning, reducing conflicts later on. When the project manager involves the team early in planning and team-building activities, it creates a strong foundation for cooperation, motivation, and better overall performance. The Tuckman ladder model explains how teams develop and evolve through different stages. The first stage is forming, where people are brought together as a team. At this stage, members are polite, roles are not yet clear, and everyone is just beginning to understand the project and each other. The second stage is storming, where conflicts and disagreements often arise. This happens because team members have different working styles, opinions, and expectations. While this stage can be uncomfortable, it is a natural and necessary part of team development. The third stage is norming, where the team starts to overcome differences and build trust. Members establish good working relationships, agree on norms and ways of working, and begin to trust both the project manager and each other. This is the stage where collaboration starts becoming effective and the team is ready to move toward higher performance. The fourth stage of the Tuckman ladder is performing. At this stage, the team has become mature, efficient, and highly collaborative. Members understand their roles clearly, communication flows smoothly, and productivity is at its peak. Conflicts are minimal and, if they occur, they are resolved constructively. This is also the stage where the project manager can shift focus toward developing individual team members by providing them with opportunities to grow, learn, and take on greater responsibilities. The final stage is adjourning, which occurs when the project is completed and the team is disbanded. Although this can be a positive stage since it marks the successful delivery of the project, it can also be emotional for team members as they part ways. The project manager's role here is to acknowledge contributions, celebrate success, and ensure a smooth transition for members to their next assignments. The Shuhari model explains how individuals progress in their learning journey toward mastery through 3 stages. The first stage is Shu, which means to keep, protect, or maintain. At this level, the learner focuses on following the rules, imitating the teacher or mentor, and practicing fundamentals with discipline. The goal here is obedience and repetition to build a solid foundation. The second stage is Ha, which means to detach or break free. At this point, the learner starts to question and adapt the rules, experimenting with variations and developing their own understanding. It is a stage of exploration where creativity and independence start to grow. The final stage is Re, which means to go beyond or transcend. Here, the learner has achieved mastery to the extent that techniques flow naturally and effortlessly. They no longer consciously think about rules but act intuitively, creating their own unique path. This stage represents true skill mastery and self-expression. The Dreyfus model of adult skill acquisition, developed by Stuart E. Dreyfus, explains how adults progress when learning new skills. The model identifies 5 stages: novice, advanced, beginner, competent, proficient, and expert. At each stage, not only do skills improve, but the individual's commitment, decision-making approach, and perspective on the task also evolve. In the novice stage, learners rely heavily on rules and instructions with little situational understanding. As advanced beginners, they start recognizing patterns and applying rules with limited flexibility. At the competence stage, learners can plan and make conscious decisions, though it still requires effort. In the proficient stage, decision-making becomes more intuitive and individuals can adapt quickly to new situations. Finally, at the expert stage, performance is fluid and natural. Decisions and actions come effortlessly, driven by deep experience and understanding. This progression reflects how practice and experience gradually transform someone from a beginner into a true master. The first stage of the Dreyfus model is the novice stage. At this point, learners have little to no prior experience, so they rely completely on rules and guidelines provided to them. Their decision-making is analytical and step-by-step, but very limited because they lack real-world context. Mistakes are common here, but following structured instructions helps novices begin their learning journey. The second stage is the advanced beginner stage. Learners are still following rules and making analytical decisions, but they now have some practical experience. This exposure allows them to start recognizing patterns and understanding the context behind the rules. In other words, they begin to see why the rules exist and how they apply in different real-world situations. Although they are still dependent on guidance, they are gradually becoming more independent in applying their skills. The third stage of the Dreyfus model is the competence stage. At this point, learners have been exposed to many rules and guidelines across different contexts. However, applying all of them becomes overwhelming, so they begin to evaluate and decide which rules are the most appropriate for a given situation. This stage is marked by more conscious decision-making, where learners plan and take responsibility for their actions. It's also the stage where they start feeling more confident but still require effort and analysis to perform effectively. The fourth stage is the proficient stage. Here, decision-making becomes stronger and more intuitive. While it still involves analysis, the learner is no longer mechanically following rules. Instead, they actively choose the best strategy based on experience and judgment. At this level, learners develop a deeper understanding of their field and can adapt strategies to fit different situations, making their performance smoother and more effective than before. The final stage of the Dreyfus model is the expert stage. At this level, decision-making becomes almost entirely intuitive. Experts no longer need to carefully analyze every possible rule or strategy. Instead, they can spontaneously assess situations and choose the best approach based on their deep experience and understanding. Their performance feels effortless and natural because they have internalized so much knowledge over time. Experts demonstrate a high level of confidence, adaptability, and creativity. They can handle complex and unfamiliar challenges with ease because their intuition is guided by years of practice and real-world experience. This stage represents true mastery, where skills are applied fluidly and decision-making is both quick and effective. Key performance indicators, or KPIs, are essential tools for measuring and reviewing project performance. They allow project managers to track how well the project is progressing and how effectively the team is performing. KPIs are not just about monitoring outcomes, but also about helping project managers make informed decisions and adjustments as the project continues. In agile projects, where time and cost are usually fixed, KPIs become even more critical. They are used to estimate project costs, measure productivity, track progress, and ensure that value is being delivered within the constraints. By regularly monitoring KPIs, project managers can identify risks early, improve planning, and keep the team aligned with project goals. This makes KPIs a vital part of both project control and team improvement. In agile projects, some of the most commonly used key performance indicators help track progress and forecast outcomes. The first is the rate of progress, which looks at how many features or user stories are completed and accepted by the product owner each week or month. This helps measure the team's productivity and pace. The second is the remaining work, which shows how much backlog is still left to be completed. This provides clarity on the workload and what still needs to be delivered. Based on this, we can calculate the likely completion date by dividing the total remaining work by the current rate of progress. This gives a realistic forecast of when the project might finish. Finally, there is the likely cost remaining. For simpler projects, this can be calculated by taking the team's salary burn rate and multiplying it by the number of weeks left. Together, these KPIs give project managers a practical way to measure progress, estimate timelines, and manage project costs effectively. Managing a team is one of the most critical responsibilities of a project manager. It includes all the day-to-day management activities that ensure the team works efficiently and stays aligned with project goals. The process begins with inputs such as the project management plan, project documents, work performance reports, team performance assessments, organizational assets, and environmental factors. These inputs provide the necessary information to manage and guide the team effectively. The process of managing teams involves using tools like the Project Management Information System and applying strong interpersonal and team skills to resolve conflicts, motivate members, and improve performance. As a result, there are several important outputs: change requests, updates to the project management plan, updates to project documents, and sometimes updates to enterprise environmental factors. In short, managing the team ensures better collaboration, improved performance, and keeps the project moving in the right direction. Management and leadership styles play a big role in how a project manager interacts with the team and drives results. One common style is directing, where the project manager relies on their expertise and gives clear instructions to team members about what needs to be done. This style works best when the team requires strong guidance or when tasks are critical and time-sensitive. The second style is facilitating, where the project manager's role is more about enabling communication, encouraging collaboration, and removing roadblocks that might slow the team down. Instead of telling people exactly what to do, the manager ensures the environment supports productivity. The third style is coaching, where the project manager guides, advises, and makes recommendations. The focus here is on developing the team and helping stakeholders achieve their goals. Coaching is effective when the goal is long-term growth, skill development, and building stronger team independence. Beyond directing, facilitating, and coaching, there are several other leadership styles that project managers often use. The first is supporting, where the project manager provides encouragement and assistance to team members and stakeholders. Here, the focus is on helping the team work through challenges while building confidence and trust. Next is delegating, where the project manager sets clear goals but gives the team the authority and responsibility to complete the work. This style builds accountability and empowers the team to take ownership of results. The servant leadership style is all about putting the team's needs first. The project manager shares power, supports personal and professional growth, and creates an environment where the team can perform at their highest potential. Finally, the influencing style focuses on collaboration and team decision-making. The project manager works closely with the team, emphasizing teamwork, relationship building, and influencing successful project outcomes through collective effort. Each of these styles can be applied depending on the project situation and the maturity of the team. When teams face challenges like conflict resolution, negotiations, prioritization, or complex decision-making, certain leadership styles become more effective. One of these is the consultative style, which is a bottom-up approach. Here, the project manager values the input of team members, considers their opinions, and acts as a servant leader to guide the group toward results. This style increases engagement and trust within the team. Another is the consensus style, where the project manager emphasizes group problem-solving and bases decisions on the agreement of the majority. This approach ensures that team members feel heard and included, creating stronger buy-in for the final decision. The third is the democratic or participative style, which encourages active involvement of the team in the decision-making process. In this approach, team members take ownership of the decisions made, which leads to greater teamwork, cooperation, and accountability. Overall, these styles are particularly useful for building collaboration and harmony within the project team. The bureaucratic style of management and leadership is all about following established rules, procedures, and guidelines very strictly. This style works best in projects where details are critical or where safety and compliance regulations must be followed without compromise. It ensures consistency, reliability, and adherence to standards, making it suitable for highly regulated industries. On the other hand, the analytical style relies heavily on the project manager's technical expertise and problem-solving ability. In this style, the manager makes technical decisions based on data and analysis and then communicates those decisions to the team. This approach is effective in projects that require specialized knowledge, accuracy, and technical judgment. Both of these styles emphasize structure and precision, but in different ways: bureaucratic through strict procedures and analytical through deep technical skills. Some management and leadership styles are not inherently negative, but they can create challenges for the project manager, the team, and other stakeholders. One example is the charismatic style, where the manager inspires and energizes the team to perform project work. While this can be very motivating, the downside is that project success may become too dependent on the leader's presence. If the charismatic leader is absent, the team might lose momentum and struggle with motivation. Another is the autocratic style, which is a purely top-down approach. In this style, the project manager makes the decisions and directs the team, while the team members simply follow instructions. Although this can provide clarity and speed in decision-making, it often reduces creativity, collaboration, and team ownership. The consultative autocratic style combines some elements of participation with authority. Here, the project manager asks for input from the team, but the final decision-making power remains solely with the manager. This approach gives team members a voice, but may still limit empowerment since the ultimate authority is not shared. The laissez-faire style comes from the French phrase meaning allowed to act or leave alone. In this approach, the manager takes a very hands-off role, allowing the team to work independently with minimal interference. The project manager is not directly involved in the team's day-to-day work, but steps in to manage and consult only when necessary. This style can empower highly skilled and self-motivated teams, but it may also create risks if the team lacks discipline or direction. On the other hand, the driver style is very directive and competitive. A manager with this style constantly gives instructions and pushes the team forward with a strong drive to succeed. The competitive attitude of the driver-style manager motivates the team to win and achieve goals quickly. However, this approach can sometimes put too much pressure on the team and may reduce collaboration if not balanced with encouragement and support. Project managers often face challenges in getting people to cooperate and perform, especially in a matrix organization where authority is shared. To overcome this, it's important to understand the different types of power a project manager can use. The first is formal or legitimate power, which comes from the manager's official position or title. This power allows the project manager to make decisions in the best interest of the team and the project. For example, even if team members disagree, the project manager has the authority to finalize decisions and move forward. The second is reward power, which comes from the ability to give recognition, opportunities, or incentives. By assigning desirable tasks, acknowledging contributions, or offering other rewards, the project manager can motivate team members and reinforce positive behavior. This power is effective in encouraging cooperation and maintaining high performance levels. Another important type is penalty or coercive power, which comes from the ability to penalize team members if they don't perform. For example, a project manager may warn a member that if the task isn't completed on time, they will be removed from an important assignment or opportunity. While this power can be effective in the short term, it should be used cautiously, as it may lower morale or create resistance. The next is expert power, which comes from the project manager's knowledge, skills, and experience. When a manager is seen as a subject matter expert or has a track record of success, the team naturally respects their judgment. This type of power builds trust and credibility, and team members are more willing to follow their lead. Finally, referent power is based on respect, admiration, or likability. A project manager who is well-liked, respected, or seen as a role model gains influence simply because people want to be associated with them or follow their example. This is the power of charisma, relationships, and reputation, and it is often one of the strongest ways to inspire commitment and loyalty from a team. Conflict is something every project manager will face because of the nature of projects. Projects involve many stakeholders, each with their own expectations and requirements, which often clash. Another reason is organizational structure. Project managers do not always have full authority and may face limitations in decision-making. Finally, conflicts often arise when resources must be requested from functional managers, leading to competition and negotiation. Since conflict is natural and unavoidable, the key is not to fear it but to manage it constructively so the project and team benefit from resolution. One of the most effective ways to handle conflict is collaborating or problem-solving. Here, all parties come together, openly discuss their differences, and try to find a solution that incorporates everyone's viewpoints. This often results in a consensus and long-term positive relationships. Another approach is compromising, also called reconciling. In this case, both parties give up something to reach a middle ground. While it helps resolve the conflict quickly, it's often a lose-lose situation since neither side gets exactly what they wanted. Compromising is useful when time is limited, but it may not always create the best outcome.